You gotta be kidding. You just can't mean it. How long? No, no way. I can't talk that long. But I mean, that's all there is this thing. They really are phenomenal. I mean, have we really ever discussed them? You know, obviously we start out, we talk about does form follow function or function follow form, and with this particular object, you know, it really makes a statement, almost like nothing else. It's the quintessential form following function. It does it so well. I mean, you put coffee in it, it stays hot, right? I mean, we wish we could get a stoneware cup to hold your coffee hot as long as a styrofoam cup. Especially when you put one of those cheesy plastic lids on it. But the lids are a whole nother issue. But you look at these things and they are simplicity itself. I mean, just a cup. They're light. They're translucent. Light comes right through them. I mean, we wish we could get that kind of translucency in porcelain. They have that same kind of spectral purity as porcelain. They reflect. They're all white. There's nothing as white as this. They're pure. And, you know, they wouldn't be the same if they were blue. I mean, a blue styrofoam cup, it's got to be white. It's got to have that purity. It's got that pure form, that pure form follows function. There it is. It stays warm. It's cheap. I mean, everybody can afford a styrofoam cup. And if you're careful with them, you can use them for a couple of days and throw them away. Just about the time they get that real skanky coffee stuff on the inside, it's time to get rid of them. They have their limitations. I mean, you should never use them for Coca-Cola. Styrofoam is not a material for Coca-Cola, let alone the Coca-Cola that's got the vanilla flavoring in it. You put vanilla flavoring in one of these and it always tastes just like styrofoam. I think it's because the vanilla is a solvent. Eats into the plastic a little bit, and then the plastic gets inside.
There, that's looking good there. Good corner. Real nice. It's clean.
But the styrofoam cup, you know, it is a pure object.
It's bad we want it flat like this. And a little bit of texture, well, that's okay. That comes from the roller.
Deny it. They really
cover
work.
Up any small defects.
They work so well. You can get them everywhere. You can get them at just everywhere.
And so not only do we do it to our walls.
I wasn't going to grab it, but I thought, well, hey. Here, it says for environmental information, right there. That's one of their drawbacks, I expect. It's got an environmental information number there.
Styrofoam cups, too.
You know, pound per pound. I mean, it takes a lot of styrofoam cups before you get a pound of plastic in the environment. They might be pretty good that way. And I'll bet you if you set them in the ground, I'll bet you they'll get roots through them and everything, you know. The plants will just bust them up into little pieces. And then instead of having one big cup, we'll have little bits of styrofoam everywhere. And I've heard, you know, that they take 20,000 years to biodegrade. Oh, come on. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows?
Do we really care so little about what we drink out of?
But I'll bet you it's going to be in little bits before that's an issue. But I'm really here to talk about styrofoam cups, and I'm not really sure. I'm a potter.
You know, we have
I'm really these words. You know, I'm interested in environmental quality. I think that lends itself to a lot of ceramic work. All kinds of things like this. All sorts of environmental reasons. Some of them are good reasons and some of them are bad, and who knows. But the styrofoam cup, that form, you know, I read Clarillion, you know, that book.
We
She
ignore
wrote. It's a wonderful
so
book.
much of our life. We have
I
to.
don't know if it uses
be
the word
overloaded
breath
by it.
in there, but it talks about breath,
People
that
buy
idea that the
cars.
pot
Cars
is
are
working,
somehow
that
status
volume
symbols.
air on the inside. It's just
You
holding
need a fancy
it, squeezing
car.
it.
You
The
need
air
a
is
car
pushing
that
up against the
expresses
sides.
your
They're working
personality.
against each other.
So you go to the
But
store
with
and
this
you buy one
near
of the
perfect
50 or 100
straight-sided
cars that
form,
are out
you know,
there.
there's
You
always
pick the
little
right color
variation
for it.
in
You
there.
get
I
the
hold it on
right
the
stuff in
sides
there.
and,
I mean, you need.
you know, I see little
Are you
tiny
a CD
things
kind of
happening as
person?
turn
I
it
mean, you
around.
need a
But for all
CD
intents
player
and
in your
purposes,
car,
you may
or
as
it
well
doesn't
say that
express
is
you.
straight.
They don't
sides.
express our personalities. There isn't enough
In some ways,
variation
you'd
in there
expect
to
it
even
to
come
have no
close to a
breath.
personality.
But even that's interesting. You get to look at it.
But you look at
get to say,
handmade
well,
pots.
is there or is
If
there
you
not
want a
that
handmade
dead
pot
straight
that
side?
expresses
Does
your
it work on the
personality,
volume?
you
Does
ought to
the
be able to
angle
find
do
one.
it
There's enough
more than the
variation.
interaction between
But
the surface
instead,
and the volume. What is it that makes a pot breathe?
we express
And
our styrofoamness.
what can
We
this
buy things from those stores that sell those
Mechanical styrofoam
incredibly ugly plastic cups.
Come on,
People
yes,
drink
it's
their
doesn't
stuff
have
out
you gotta
of
give
them.
it a
any
break.
of that sort
They're
of
mindless
I just-
beverages.
potter's
I mean, I
life, the
drink
bones,
it.
how
Diet
is
They're
it
evil. I
made?
mean,
You know, I'm not
you use them and you
Caffeine-free
throw them
Diet
away.
Coke.
What's
It
the
doesn't
world
even
trying
have
to
the
do?
drugs in
It's,
it.
it's crazy.
The only drug
Yeah,
it has is a placebo.
We
Water's
cannot
just
survive
dry,
on this
it's
planet
sterile.
with mountains
Makes
and
you
mountains
think
and
sterile
mountains
and
of
sugar.
Really
styrofoam
sterile,
cups just
And so
piling
maybe
up
the
everywhere.
styrofoam cup is the
Worthwhile.
perfect thing
We just
to drink
can't
that
do
out
it.
of. Maybe
See?
that's what it ought to be. Maybe it's
They're
perfect. Maybe
destroying
it
the
fits.
world.
the rim.
But real
It is.
coffee, you know, some guy
Not
roasted
the
it, or take it in the
styrofoam cup
backyard,
itself.
roast
The
it
essence
on
is
the barbecue,
styrofoam and then
get
it's
some
why
nice
we're on the
brown
planet.
beans, you bash
We've
them
got
up in a
global
mortar and
warming.
pestle, you brew them up,
There
and
is
you
no
pour them into
quality
some
here.
wood-fired thing.
This is
that's
not
crusty,
quality.
and you drink it.
You know, that's a pretty hefty rim. It makes a
Get
statement.
they
of
are
strength.
just
between your teeth. It's a little bit
disposable
thicker.
threat.
It definitely strengthens the cup in a way.
Maybe that's
know,
what
if
you
it
need
weren't
a
there, it
real
wouldn't
cup
be
for,
strong
and
enough.
not styrene.
It's a necessary thing to be able to hold this without squishing it.
I'm not sure.
And, you know, for a
The
sterile
pure
cup,
white
it's a good
styrofoam
rim.
cup.
It also helps them stack like those old flower pots. You can stack these up. They stack up nice, one on top of another, all in a nice
Is there
long,
artistic intent when they designed that?
tall
Was there an
stack.
intent? Did they
Keep 'em in the
intend to
grocery
express
store.
something about human nature, about themselves? No.
I kind of
But did
find
they
the
do it?
rim,
Yes, they
the
did.
rim really, you know, it's
So if you
designed
believe in
with
intent,
the same sort of sterile sense as the foot.
I'm not
You know,
sure
the
that
foot,
the
the
styrofoam
signature.
cup is
I
art.
mean, what a signature!
But I believe that those
There it
people
is.
did
You know,
intend
you can tell
to not
where
deal
this
with
cup came from.
aesthetics
There's the potter's mark.
in making such a wholehearted attempt
And,
to not deal with aesthetics.
The
They
date
failed.
code probably. You can tell when it was made. They got
don't believe
recycling
that there is
information
anything
down there. It
touched by
says 6
The intelligent hand,
PS 6
touched by the mind
polystyrene.
at all,
You
really.
can't really call it styrofoam because that's a brand
That
name. I
doesn't
think
end up
they want you to call it
containing
expanded polystyrene.
expression. The
What kind
expression
of
is
people are we
everywhere.
that make
It
those
is just
plain
our ability
objects?
to read
They're
it that
so
seems to go
sterile.
away.
And, you know, they get so sterile. The sterility is interesting, but we don't seem to be able to leave
And
well
I'm not
enough alone.
convinced that we need more expressive objects, but more
If we could
sensitive
just stop and
eyes.
think about those styrofoam cups, you know, as a society, we'd gain something out of it.
Maybe with
But no,
more
we've
sensitive
decided
eyes,
that we
the
need
styrofoam
decorative,
cup becomes
decorative
less
objects.
ugly,
So we make
less
these
banal,
things, right?
and its
You've seen them.
ubiquitousness
There it is. It's lit
becomes
nice.
a positive quality. Rather
They got
than
patterns all over them.
maybe with
This
better
is a
eyes,
decorative styrofoam
cups
cup.
add meaning to life rather than what
Expanded
they appear to do, which is take
polystyrene.
it away.
You can see it all there. I love the way the light shines through this like this. It's just gorgeous. Actually, I think it's hideous. But
I'm certainly no big fan of the material.
it's definitely interesting. I used to be more
Polystyrene.
interested in the plain ones, but now these ones
It
with
seems to be
decoration.
an awful
What is it about
waste of
humans?
Earth's resources.
I mean, it may as well just be solidified
makes us
poison.
even
You heat it
decorate
up and
this
just
pure
think all the
form.
toxic fumes it gives off.
You know, it's
I'm not sure it's
genetic
any greater
horror
waste
vacuum
We
of
put our
fear of
coffee
empty
in
spaces.
this
Play and use
hot, acidic solutions,
or burning things.
and then we
Well,
drink
just
it.
to keep our life
I
interesting.
mean, should we really be
We've
drinking?
got all these other
out of this
patterns
stuff?
too. We got this
Is
one, this
it
wide pattern.
good for us to drink out of them?
Oh my!
Does it
Probably
make
isn't
us
too
better? Does it enrich our lives
you
to
wish you
drink
could
out of
decorate
styrofoam
like
cups?
that?
No, it doesn't. We may as well
It's
not
like
drink
mechanical
anything.
slip
Drink out of
trailing
these
or something.
styrofoam
Call it
cups.
ugly.
Worst is that vanilla flavoring.
does art have
Get
to
it
do
in
with
those
it?
places that sell
Polystyrene
all
cups.
those different
Who'd
flavors
know
of
that
soda.
you could do so many
the
different things with
fountains,
them?
on the big
And the art
corners,
has
the
to be
big
beautiful.
intersections, and they have
I'm really
vanilla.
not so sure about the decorating.
When you put vanilla in one of these styrofoam cups with some
It caught my
diet
my
beverage,
mind for a while.
it tastes
And
like
I
it's
still am.
dissolving
I'm
the
just thinking about it
plastic.
all the
And I
time.
wonder whether or not
But,
it is.
in
I mean, have they
preparation
tested
for
the
this little
safety of
movie,
this
I've
plastic
these
with
pile of
bigger
every
ones
kind
like
of
this.
fluid that we
Mediocre
might
pile.
And
put
it's
into
funny.
our
I'm not
mouths?
really sure. I got to hold them up
Do we
next
know, or
to
do
each
they
other.
just put water
But
in there and
it's
test
the
it
same
once
basic
and it
form
goes,
as the smaller
"Oh,
cup.
safe.
determined
This is a
by
But if you
safe
look at it,
material."
ugliness.
It looks like it
But
is.
if beauty
a
is in the
little
eye
bit
of
I don't
the
trust it.
beholder, then a lot
Maybe
of that
you
ugly
trust it,
stuff
yeah.
proportions have changed.
You can if you
beautiful for
want.
others.
And because of
more
that, it
things
looks funny.
that we
And
can
I'm not
find
sure the
beauty in,
proportions really are any
the
different.
more we can respect
And I'm
them.
not sure that
If we
those
see these styrofoam cups as beautiful,
engineers
but,
have together
throw them away.
I'm not sure the people that do that
to
are
make
trustworthy.
proportions
Polystyrene
any
is an
different.
incredible material.
I don't really think that
Perhaps
these
to
cups
make it more
are trustworthy,
sensible,
but you can if you want.
use it.
And I suppose
White
if I hold this one
plastic.
closer, we can see that
They
the
don't
proportions
weigh
really are
anything.
about the same.
They almost float on
They
air.
just ramped it up. They made it a little bit wider at the top, and a little bit wider at the bottom, and a little bit taller, and there it is. If I get this one closer to the camera, they look almost identical. There we go. And that would make sense because they're both made by the same company. They have the same mark on the bottom. And one of them says H637, and the other one says 631I. And one of them is marked HC8, and the other one is 12CI6. And I suspect that those are product codes and size
Styrene.
codes. That looks like 8 ounces, and this looks like 12. So
when we really look at the styrofoam, what do we see?
that's cool.
Styrene.
But there are some differing proportions available out there.
An image,
I got this one. Bought some soup.
image of ourselves,
Bought some soup at school.
expression of what it is to be
Polystyrene.
And I got this.
in this year at this time
There you
with
go.
global warming.
Different manufacturer.
Oil
Notice it still
century.
says 6PS. That's the same. I like that little mark in the center. I think that's there to prevent dust cracks. Not sure though. This is a dark cup.
See
And it has
more
a nice
focus.
styrofoam lid. I really kind of like the styrofoam
It's
lids.
not like polystyrene is really.
Do we need distance?
It's got a little
Oh
vent
my,
hole in it to
no.
let the steam out.
Distance.
You don't let the steam
I mean,
out,
plastic.
they'll blow up. The
Come
lid will
on.
just blow right off, and then you won't. It's like not having a lid, so you need a little steam hole in there.
You can't be serious
Got
about
the
this.
struts
I
across
mean,
there for
Untrue
strength, so the center of the lid doesn't sag.
do you really think they're beautiful?
Fits in there real nice and snug. But
Close up.
you take it out. This one kind of stinks a little bit. It had some soup in there.
How could you possibly think that?
Probably should have cleaned it out because that purity You know, you get one of these things dirty. and
It's not the
got a
color. I
whole
mean, that
different
pure
sense
white.
to
You
it.
don't seem like the kind that would go for that
Some
pure
little
white.
Marks from use on the
Same
outside.
material.
And it's not
They
the
record
texture.
fingerprints.
If you look at your pots, it just
Scratches,
doesn't relate to
all
the
kinds of
texture that you got.
Still that same nice styrofoam texture. I mean, we're busy trying to make
You don't
it
eat food
pure.
like that.
They don't make the sides
Talk about
dead
white bread. I
smooth.
mean, cut the crust
Why
off.
don't they make them dead
Just
smooth?
eat white bread.
Well, if they made them
Maybe.
dead smooth,
Worse.
then every
Even
little
white
mark
bread
would
was
show.
a lot more sort of natural.
Every
and whole
little
wheat.
defect.
And,
They'd have to do some real careful manufacturing. They texturize it just like walls. And that texture in there.
it's the
gives them
balsa wood of the plastic
some
world.
ability to cover up little mistakes and little imperfections. This one, it does seem like they played with the proportions on this. Who made it? Here we go. Another manufacturer. 12, 13, huh? 1, 2, 0, and 13. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe it's milliliters. I don't know. But there it is. I find that as these
You know,
cups
skin
get bigger,
texture is.
that rim seems to get
You know, the
thicker
styrofoam
and
cups, maybe
thicker
they
and more hefty.
are approaching the same
Become
texture
a
as your
little bit more
skin.
masculine.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it
You know, you
looks
look at that translucency.
like something you want.
You know, that light, airy translucency.
Like those
these
new
cups have.
animations
You
that
know, that part of
look
it's feminine,
so
and
much
that
like
big,
people that
hefty
when
rim
you're
they put on some of these
50 feet away from the
heftier,
TV set,
gets
you think
more
it's a real
masculine
person in
rim.
there, and it's not till
I
you
find
get
that
close
just
that you recognize that it's some
amazing.
weird
course,
animation.
You can't really say
Maybe
that
that's it.
hefty is masculine, and dainty is feminine. The idea that they are is just too sexist. Something we have to get out of. I brought one in, another one. It was given to me by one of my graduate students, and he gave it to me filled with ice, and he said I should talk about it filled with ice, but I really didn't want to. I mean, it works to hold ice. My real interest is that this one came with a lid and a straw. And these plastic lids, you know, there's some beauty to this styrofoam stuff. It is so amazing. But you look at this lid, and it's like it was designed by an auto plant designer. Yeah, it's got the name on it. There's no purity to the design. It's got those nice dimples for marking whether it's diet or not. You know, what kind of soda you got in there. Cola, diet, RB, other, it says. Dart, and it's got some supports in there to keep the lid from flexing too much, probably. Maybe it just makes it so that the tools can go. It's got a little thing so you can get a straw through there. Yeah, great, but it's ugly. It has none of the purity of the cup. And it seems like maybe this part of the design, the lid, just needs a little more work, you know. Come on, you guys, you've made such a wonderfully pure object. Maybe this really is just accidental. Maybe the beauty of the styrofoam cup is a happy accident. And if it is a happy accident and it was made by designing oafs who don't really know any better, they just happened upon it. They made a pile of junk, a big pile of junk. They've been making junk for a long time. Maybe it was just a happy accident, and that happy accident explains why they would do something ugly to their beautiful cups and not understand just how interestingly ugly this is. I mean, most people don't understand that about ugliness. Ugliness is almost
Words.
always more interesting than boring. You can talk about why something is ugly, why you don't like it, how
I
it
talk
came
about
about.
styrofoam cups for
You can do that
30
with
minutes.
boring, but
I'm really just
no one
talking
ever
about
does.
words, phrases,
Consequently,
idioms.
I'm of
I mean,
the
evil
belief that
genius.
ugly
Give me a break.
is
Evil
often
genius.
better than boring. The interesting thing about boring
Maybe they're
is, though,
mutually
that
exclusive.
when something gets really
Black
boring,
light. Give me a break.
boredom really gets
Black
bad.
light. How can light be black?
Then it stops being so boring.
It's just one of those things.
And you start to wonder, why did somebody do this? Why
We
did
are
he make
so
it
limited
boring?
by
Why
the
did he make it so
concepts that we
flat?
create
Why did he
with
make it
words
so lifeless? What is it about
that we have to
humans
think of everything as good or
that allows
bad.
us to make things
Even when we
so
try not to, we
lifeless?
can't help but talk about good qualities,
In one of my
bad
previous
qualities. But look at them.
videos, I talked about
Styrofoam cups.
walls,
Are they good or are they bad?
flat, unadorned, sheetrock walls.
Well, are they?
There, you can probably see the defect in the ceiling there. There's a little bit of a stripe going diagonally across your screen.
They're neither.
That's where I didn't get it dead
Those
flat.
words are just constructs.
You can turn the light into the
They're
corner
just
here.
ways for us to keep
Video
ourselves
this corner.
busy. For us to
Oh
think
my,
that
we
we're
can't have that.
wise.
That was a mistake, wasn't it?
For us to think that we have something to say that's worth listening to. For us to think that there's worth. Does worth exist? I'm not sure it's ever been so clear in my life before, but in looking at styrofoam cups, I just can't tell whether they are good or evil. They're neither, they're both, they're all of the above. Words. I talk about styrofoam cups for 30 minutes. I'm really just talking about words, phrases, idioms. I mean, evil genius. Give me a break. Evil genius. Maybe they're mutually exclusive. Black light. Give me a break. Black light. How can light be black? It's just one of those things. We are so limited by the concepts that we create with words that we have to think of everything as good or bad. Even when we try not to, we can't help but talk about good qualities, bad qualities. But look at them. Styrofoam cups. Are they good or are they bad? Well, are they? They're neither. Those words are just constructs. They're just ways for us to keep ourselves busy, for us to think that we're wise, for us to think that we have something to say that's worth listening to, for us to think that there's worth. Does worth exist? I'm not sure it's ever been so clear in my life before, but in looking at styrofoam cups, I just can't tell whether they are good or evil. They're neither, they're both, they're all of the above.